Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are here with a new build that I have completed of the Cheetah Productions resin model kit of the 1/1000 scale Daedalus-class. It is 6.5 inches long, and I do not have another 1000 scale model to display with it at the moment, but I thought that I would share this with you and hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Now, as many of you probably noticed, I'm having a hard time focusing on, we'll just focus down here. You can see that obviously these are not the familiar red stripes with the yellow chevron. This is a ship from before the Federation was founded. This is the United Earth Space Probe Agency starship called the United Earth Ship Essex, and of course the nomenclature of CLV-173. That is the terminology they used before NCC that we're familiar with. CLV is basically Cruiser Light Vessel number 173. This is a Daedalus-class ship, and Daedalus was, I believe, canonically known as 165. And the nice thing with the Cheetah Productions kit was it gave you names and numbers and markings, the pennants and such, for United Earth Space Probe Agency ships, as well as the early Federation, and even a set for Cheetah Productions' version of the Mirror Universe, which utilized black stripes and a planet meatball shape that was done in red and black. One of those will be seen at a later date. One of those builds will be seen at a later date. I haven't built it yet. This design is based off of Matt Jeffries' original design for the Starship Enterprise. It was a smoothie. Unlike the Daedalus class that we see in Deep Space Nine on Sisko's desk, which has raised areas on it. It looks really clunky. They were kind of known as the exterior strengthening bands to keep the ship together while flying through space and orbiting planets. It was, that's just what they called it. And it's because they were using the actual model kit of the space shuttle's booster rockets and fuel container. The fuel container is the secondary hull, and then the booster rockets were used for the nacelles. But this design is based on Matt Jeffries' original design of a smoothie, and I enjoyed doing that. I made the master for this kit, and I really like that it is a smoothie. And it is a shame that it's out of production, but hey, things happen. So what some of you may have noticed or not, so I will point them out to you anyway, is you can kind of see, let's see if I can get there we go. You can kind of see gray bumps. You can see it just off the edge of the X on Essex, and of course right next to the screen. Those are the laser turrets. And then right near it, another bump, is the, let's see if it'll focus. Yeah, is the, yes, Gomez, is the running light. And the camera's freaking out a little bit. But yeah, Oh, of course, you guys have probably noticed it too. The doors. These are doors. These are radome doors that shelter the main sensor and deflector systems. They utilize them at first, and because they're radome sensor systems, the energy can beam right through it. But they eventually stopped using the doors in order to then basically expose the. I keep jostling there. I'm sorry, guys. To keep the. Shut up, Gomez. Jesus. To keep. Okay, they got rid of the doors because it proved to be a little inefficient. The sensor readings weren't as strong as they could be. The deflector system wasn't as powerful as it could be. But when they would open the doors, things got 10 to 15% stronger. So eventually they just kind of got rid of the doors and had the sensors more exposed. And that's why we eventually see the large dishes on the later versions of the ships. And let us head back this way. And oh, yes, and some of you might have noticed, or not, I'm not sure. Well, you kind of can here. You might notice some reflectivity on the windows, including the arboretum windows on the back of the secondary hull, but also on the lit windows on the sphere. I used UV resin to add glass or transparent aluminum to the windows. It was a nice, fun little thing so that, you know, when you look at the ship is kind of muted, but then occasionally the light will reflect right off the glass and give it more depth. I like that. And of course, there are the plasma exhaust vents. And I believe that's the plasma intercooler. I kind of forgot the tech a little bit. I believe that's an intercooler. Right in front of the warp grills. And you can kind of, let's see if the camera will focus. Yeah, you can kind of see the aft end of the nacelles is reminiscent of the original series Captain Pike's Enterprise, the first pilot of the Enterprise. I kind of like those instead of the balls. The balls are cool. It just makes it look more tech. And then down here, let's just see if the camera will do. Yeah. These are, the outer rim is the impulse exhausts. And then inside is the shuttle bay control center, followed by the shuttle bay doors, the shuttle's landing lights. So yeah, you definitely want to come in along the green light. Of course, the ship's name, and right beneath that is another aft-mounted laser turret to protect itself from behind. And let's just kind of take a bit of a shot. Let's see if this will work. Hopefully not a lot of jostling, sorry. I'm trying not to get a lot of shadows, but let's see. Are you going to work? That's a little crisper. So there's the red outlined yellow square. That is apparently the hatch for the ship's telescope, which is interesting. Federation ships do carry telescopes. I'm sure there's a reason why, but it's like you're already in space. What do you need a telescope for? But they have them. And then coming back down here is the opposite side, but as some of you may have noticed, the ship is banking a bit because it is in standard orbit above the planet, so it kind of banks in order to go around. That's what we saw on the original series, that the ships kind of banked as they were in standard orbit. And underneath, sorry if I'm muffled, you can kind of see, let's get a little more light. You can see the lower laser turrets. So the ship can defend itself from beneath, from behind, and a pretty strong forward arc. These lasers can fire up, pretty much following the curve of the sphere. Unfortunately, it can't do too much firing from above, but this is a cruiser. It's a light vessel. It's not a heavy cruiser. It's not a battleship, so it doesn't exactly have a lot of guns everywhere. But yes, there's the familiar hatches that we've seen on Star Trek ships. In the remastered series, the Enterprise dropped some probes out of the yellow circle. We never really saw what it was, but in the remastered series, they actually did a scene where they were orbiting a planet and dropped some probes through that hatch. We're not really shown what the gray T is or the gray and red I are, letter I, but I believe that at least the gray rectangle and the red square are like supply hatches for foodstuff, or perhaps the matter, antimatter loading locations or something. I'm not positive, but they look cool. And of course, we've got the familiar gold sensor band on the dorsal connector. And yeah, I really enjoy this ship. Overall, it was very fun to build. There were a few issues. Mainly, honestly, when I designed this kit, the sphere was attached to the secondary hull, or the dorsal connector. The sphere was attached to the dorsal connector, which is the long tube there, which was automatically attached to the secondary hull. That was all one piece. And then the nacelle and pylons were their own separate piece, and the boussards were their own separate piece, as well as those intercoolers. Let's see if it'll focus. Yes, those intercoolers were also separate pieces. But the companies that were casting my kit for me insisted that the sphere be separated and attached later. I didn't like that, but you know, they were doing it for me, and so I allowed them to do it. The problem with it is that you got to try and get the windows on the sphere to line up with the windows on the secondary hull so that they all go the same direction and not be twisted. When I originally built it and it was all one piece there, it was all straight. So yeah, trying to line things up, especially along the back here, that was fiddly. And I hate to say it, but I'm sure every model builder has this problem at least once in their life. I dropped the model. And of course, the weakest spot was right there at the connection point between the sphere and the dorsal connector. Now, had this been molded in one piece as the original kits were, but there were only 20 of those made, it wouldn't have cracked. So, but hey, I only have a few of these kits left, and I kept them for myself. But they were good. They seemed to be popular sellers, which was nice. So, yeah. This was this was the only true spaceship kit that I/Cheetah Productions ever produced. I offered parts, little aftermarket parts and such, but in terms of a kit, yeah, this was the only one that I ever offered. But yeah, so I hope you enjoy this. I really enjoy this ship. This is actually going to be a gift for a friend of mine, and I really hope he enjoys it. So thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this build. I hope you enjoyed my stories. And I don't recall if I actually said, so if I did, well, it's a repeat. And if I didn't, well, here we go. Those are the Arboretum windows. We normally see them on the refit Enterprise or Enterprise class, depending on who you speak to, from Star Trek the Motion Picture. Let's see, can we focus? There we go. And I love the Arboretums, so I wanted to add one to this ship. But I kind of wanted to be a little bit different, plus the original drawings kind of showed big windows up here. So I thought, well, what the hell, why not make that Arboretum windows instead of down on the lower secondary hull? Just something to be different, so people can look up and see the stars shining in the sky when they're standing in amongst the trees. Okay. Again, thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I did, and this was a lot of fun. Remember, be excellent to each other and to yourself. Party on, and live long and prosper. Bye.